Hello and good morning. My name's Graham Brown from Asia Tech Podcast. We are here in Level 3 Singapore with 3 startup founders, 3 representing, Scaleups, I heard. That's what they like to call it here in Level 3. So I'm joined by Gabriel from TheLorry, Philipp Stegmann from Emporio Analytics, and Alexia Sichère from tryandreview.com. So quick round robin of introductions first. Then we'll talk about how you came to be in Level 3 in this, they call it an enterprise-led innovation space or co-working space. So I'd like to hear your thoughts about that and working with some of the large corporates here as well. Gabriel, good morning.
Hi. Hi, Graham.
You're local? You're Singaporean?
Yes, I am. Born and bred.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about the genesis of TheLorry.
So TheLorry is actually a Malaysian company. We started in Malaysia. So think of us as the Grab for relocation, for house moving. So the story is such that our founders had a bad experience moving, because when you move, first of all, you don't know how much to spend. Second of all, when you engage someone, you don't know whether they are reliable or not. And then the bad experiences come when you don't have that expectations met, right? Yeah. And so what they did was that they basically went around. In Malaysia, you have sort of like signs on trees that says lorry sewa. That means lorry rental in Malay. So they simply gathered all the lorry sewa information. Is basically telephone number, just a telephone number, and they posted it online, and that's it. It started from there.
Right. And you're now here in Singapore setting up that service for Singaporeans.
Yeah. The product has obviously evolved.
Yeah.
And we're in Singapore doing the same thing.
Great. Well, we'll find out a little bit why you came to this space as well. We'll talk a little bit about your involvement with Level 3. But welcome. So moving around the table, Philipp Stegmann from Germany originally, I believe.
Exactly.
Where are you from in Germany?
4 years in Singapore now. I'm originally from Hamburg, in northern capital there, I would say. So no, but I really like it here, and it's an amazing time, especially the past 4 years when we established the company and moved here to Level 3 as well.
So you established the company in Singapore before you came to Singapore?
In Singapore.
Right.
Yeah. So
you moved to Germany with the company, or what's the story there?
Yeah, the story is I actually have quite a story with Singapore already. I started as an exchange student here 14 years ago. Oh my God, so old already.
It's very different then.
Yeah, it was very different. Marina Bay Sands was not built yet.
Yeah.
And then came back here to set up a company for another subsidiary from a German company, and then went back to Germany. But I always wanted to go back to Singapore, and
you're here now.
And now I'm here, and I think we're really adding value to the retail scene here.
Okay.
What we do is actually we connect retailers and brands on a platform where we enable them to work together on data for better shopper marketing. Mm-hmm. So we just saw that I worked with retailers before, I worked with brands before, and we see that all the data which is around there is not really used.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Only 2% of the data is actually used.
Yeah, it's a gold mine.
It's definitely a gold mine, and the data is there. It's not about acquiring data or find some tools to get data. So we just enable brands like Unilever, retailers like FairPrice or something to get more of the data set and to bring them together to build a better shopping experience for the shoppers.
Great. Well, I want to understand a little bit about how that works in a space like this as well. So we'll talk about those sort of communications that you have with those big brands as well, and being in a space like this, how important that is. So Philipp, welcome.
Thank
Alexia.
Hi,
welcome.
Good morning.
And you are from La France?
Yeah, I'm French.
Where are you from in France?
I was born and raised in Paris.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm not really a Parisian anymore.
No? Since when? When did you come to Singapore?
Since 9 years.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so I'm actually a PR, not a Singaporean yet. But I don't think I'll go back to Paris. Maybe I'll move back to France, but not necessarily Paris.
Yeah. There's a big Singaporean community, a big French community in Asia generally. I mean, Le French Tech is...
La French Tech, yes.
Very active.
Yeah,
so
very active, yeah.
In here and in Shanghai as well. So
yes, true. In Bangkok as well.
Yeah. What is it with French coming to Asia?
It's a good question. I mean, probably... Good reason would probably be that there's a lot of growth and opportunities in Asia. I'm not going to talk about, taxes and...
we all know what you're talking about. I mean, I come from Europe as well, so I understand. So, And Try and Review, was that set up here in Singapore? Did you move? What's the story there? How old is that as a company?
When I moved to Singapore, I had no plan to become an entrepreneur very quickly. I first worked here, and then after 9 months, I decided to start a business, e-commerce business at that time. And more recently, 3 years ago, I co-founded Try and Review. It's actually, Try and Review is actually business that was co-founded by another French lady, Maëlle Pocha, who's my co-founder, and in partnership with a French media group, Reworld Media. And actually, the story behind Try and Review is that initially in our e-commerce business, we wanted to find new revenue sources, and we're looking for ways to also monetize our base of customers. And we came to do some sampling in the orders we were sending to customers, sampling, putting leaflets. And I one day met with this French businessman from Reworld Media, started to share these new things we were trying, and then he told me about this business model, the business model that's behind Try and Review, doing sampling and collecting user feedback. And I was so excited about this business model, not very developed and common in Asia yet. And I was like, we have to do that. It's going to be crazy. So this is how it started. And this guy said, well, let's do it together. So we said, okay. Then they gave us the kind of tech support. They gave us a platform to start with and a database of users as well, because they had other activities here in Singapore. So other than that, we started from scratch with my co-founder. And when we've started with Try and Review, we really wanted to build this web platform for consumers to write reviews, but also read reviews from other consumers. And we've kind of made the business model evolve a bit to fit the local or the regional needs. And after a few months, we started to work with mostly with FMCG brands, beauty brands, to help them leverage our base of users and help them generate content. So reviews, ratings, visuals, videos, all these coming from real users. And today, the brands, they hire us to help them generate this content, but they also leverage and use this content a lot in their marketing activities. So they will use reviews in e-commerce. They will use the reviews and visuals on their own website. We help them to also generate engagement on social. So lots of things, of course, online, but also offline. And so we have, for instance, clients who are creating point of sale material with the user testimonial, the claims. We help them substantiate. We have this Try and Review seal or badge that they can use in store. So there's actually a lot of things that marketers can do with our content, and it's quite fun.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys for all your introductions. I understand that you don't all necessarily know each other, even though you work in the same space. So maybe we can talk a little bit about that. You all have offices here, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
We have our whole team is actually located here.
All the teams here. Yeah. Okay, so you come here every day. But have you met before? I mean, even though you're in the same space, you probably recognize people's faces, but...
So Philipp and I know each other.
Exactly.
I didn't know Gabriel before. I mean, I've heard a lot about TheLorry, but we never met. I don't come here every day.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I come here 1 day per week. We have an office in the east side where the team sits. Yeah.
Okay.
But Level 3 is also
That's why we haven't met.
Growing a lot. So there are many new faces every day and many new people here. It's really interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now's your chance to... You know these people, obviously, they're sharing the same office with you, but it's great that you can meet. We'll talk about how important that is. And the conversation we had earlier this morning with the corporates, if I can call them that, but they'll happily call themselves that, WPP, Syngenta, obviously Unilever involved in that conversation as well, is how important it is to have this sort of unstructured space where you can just talk to people. I know it sounds bizarre, but in the ivory tower of corporates, you can easily get into a comfortable world. And, the startups are kind of out there. They live in the startup world with skateboards and ball pits and free beer and all that kind of thing. It can be a little bit scary for corporates as well. So they don't kind of understand so much about what really goes on in here. So let's talk about why you came here. Why did you move to level 3 when WeWork has free beer? And there are funkier offices out there, I'm sure. What was the decision to move to level 3? Was it a lot to do with the corporates that are here, or was it the culture? Maybe you can talk about that first. So, Gabriel, what about for yourself and your team?
So interestingly, we were with WeWork before we came to level 3.
Here in Singapore?
Yeah, here in Singapore. But it was Space Mob before.
Yeah.
Right, Space Mob. But we formed a relationship with Unilever. And then we sort of like wanted to grow the team and we're exploring a new space. And we were like, why not? Things get done faster. We have a lot better interaction.
But you could do that from WeWork, sure. You can come here and visit them. And
well, WeWork is more like
not singling out WeWork, but I mean anywhere.
Yeah, of course. But the main difference here is that Unilever is right upstairs, right? And then you get free ice cream. Of course,
all right.
I think
Free
that
beer versus free
You're
ice
tired
cream.
of it.
yeah. So I'm not a beer person, I'm an ice cream person.
All right.
Yeah.
Apart from the ice cream, how does that actually make a difference, the fact that they're upstairs? I mean, do you have sort of tangible examples of
It does.
where that makes a difference
It
from them
does.
being, the other side of town?
So email quickly becomes a phone conversation, and that quickly becomes a face-to-face meet, and that really speeds up the process for sure. Yeah, especially with a corporate like Unilever, it sometimes when you're offsite, it really is a slow process. Emails after emails. Yeah.
There is a process as well,
and you
a
arrange
structured
calls.
process.
Yeah,
Right?
and I think one of the things is that the people in Unilever are really attracted by the coffee here. So they'll make excuses to come down, and then we meet, and then we talk. Not necessarily about the immediate agenda.
Yeah.
I think that really, really helps.
It's interesting, isn't it? You don't have to have an agenda. And so much is built around not having an agenda.
Exactly.
Like, that person, you recognize their face,
Yeah.
talked about coffee, talked about sport, football, whatever it is that your common interests are.
Exactly.
And then that leads, do you know that person in that department?
Yeah, correct.
Or have you seen these guys doing this thing in that country, right?
Yeah. Because like exploring problem-solving issues, sometimes I think we're too focused. Because there's only so much you can write and so much time you can spend on the phone. So yeah, when we have real sort of human interaction, it gives that dynamic, to sort of look at it at different levels and different angles, and that helps for sure.
You have to develop your product together with your client.
Oh.
That's why you have to be close to your client.
Right. But there are processes for this, right? Surely. There are onboarding for these kind of ideas and innovation and product development.
That's too corporate.
Right.
Exactly.
That's too formal.
Yeah.
I think I've had so many meetings here, events and meetups at the coffee space, etc., which I never would have with Unilever with this particular company from outside.
Right. Unilever are a client of yours, are they?
Unilever is a client of ours. And then it also spreads the word outside this Unilever itself. So we also get connections to other brands and other companies, etc., outside level 3. But you have some connection to the corporate world there. You're part of it, but you're also outside. So it's the best of two worlds, I would say. And otherwise, it's very difficult to develop your product.
Have you tried it the other way? Have you tried it from the outside?
Yeah.
What is that like? Can you share some of the frustrations of being too corporate?
Definitely. You always run behind all the managers at the corporates, try to get a meeting and then try to explain. And you have to have a reason, an agenda, as Gabriel said, to get a meeting, to get a 30 minutes meeting at the corporates. It's a
Tough.
bit annoying.
And if you go in through the wrong door, you can end up a lifetime going through the
Definitely.
wrong department and find out
Definitely.
that was the wrong way to go in. You should have gone through this.
Exactly, and you never know when people change and responsibilities changes there internally. Here, it's more you're part of the family, of the wider family. You can feel.
And how does it actually work? You mentioned, for example, like around the coffee space or at the events. Is that actually where business happens?
I definitely, definitely. So you meet people, they just have a coffee. You just talk about small things, and then suddenly it's about the business, of course. Yeah, and then we agree to quickly set up a meeting and talk about it, and it's very easy going.
Yeah. That whole point about it moves a lot faster. Now you establish trust with somebody, they've met you face to face. If you were simply a startup coming from the outside, you'd probably never even get to that stage.
Definitely,
you'd have a formal process you'd have to go through, and for a startup, we can't afford time and money to do that.
Exactly. And I also think we also changed the culture a bit in the corporates. So we really see they try to do new things, and suddenly they have the platform to do this. So I think we also add value to this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be interested to learn a bit more about that, as well as the other way as well. What do corporates bring to startups? Right, it's a two-way process. Alexia, what about yourself? What was the decision to come here?
So I, of course, totally agree with what was just said by Gabriel and Philipp. For me, I think TheLorry was one of the very first member at Level 3, simply because I had the chance to meet Barbara when she started a foundry, and she one day shared this project with me. Hey, we're launching Level 3. Would you be interested to join? And we were very, very young startup. We were like only 4 months old. And I saw in Level 3 a great opportunity to market TheLorry. And of course, for us, it was like a door that was opening to Unilever. So I said, yeah, of course, we'd love to. Although we already have our office, but we'd be happy to become a member and see how things would.
So you have an office, and you're also based in here.
Yes.
For that reason, entirely to access Unilever.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that's the reason why. So it's been 3 years now, and we renew our membership every year. Because it's, so the first thing is that for me, it's really nice, to get out of the office, and here we have a lot of daylight, nice views. So of course, our office is a startup.
Yeah,
so
Spartan, I think is the word. Yeah.
So it's very nice, but, it's also a very efficient icebreaker. I feel that we are much closer to Unilever than we are to other clients, thanks to Level 3. When I come here for a meeting, first I always meet everyone at Level 3 itself. I very rarely go to the meeting rooms, so it's like very casual.
You mean at the corporate level?
Yes.
Why?
I think the Unilever staff, they're happy to come down, and it's cool, it's friendly,
free.
it's cool, it's
liberated.
Yeah,
Definitely.
So that's the first thing. And then, so I arrive, usually when I come for meetings, I will drop some messages to people I know I need to meet. Hey, I'm around. Would you have 5 minutes for a quick chat? Come have coffee. And sometimes when I'm taking my coffee at 9 or 9:30, I bump into people I know from Unilever, and we just have a very quick chat. Hey, what's up? And then I tell them, we've just opened Brazil, for instance. Oh, really? Wow, I could be interested in Brazil, so we should catch up. And so I think it's also a great way to just, share the news and share what we have upcoming. Plus, sometimes hear what Philipp said, hear what they need. Sometimes they tell us we're launching this new product, or we are looking for ways to do this and that. And we're like, okay, well, maybe we could help you with that. Yeah. And it's, at the end, I feel much more efficient than when we see with other corporates, where you come for an hour meeting, you do your presentation, and there is a bit less of interaction. It's more you pushing your solution, and hopefully them tell you that they're interested.
Yeah. You've got to meet in the middle. That's what this is, isn't it? It's in the middle. It's not 100% startup. because you already have an office, and there are places like WeWork which are sort of geared more towards that, and it's not 100% corporate. The corporates have to come out. You have to sort of meet them in the middle. And I think then there's that sort of, well, we're outside of our comfort zones here, both of us. Therefore, we can interact a lot better, a lot faster. Things happen so much faster in this environment where there is no BS so much, or there's less BS, there's less formality, there's less walls. I think even the corporates as well. I mean, my background is 15 years in telecoms. You know, most corporate environment of all, right? These are post offices that became telecoms companies, right? So they want that. They want to step outside. They want to get outside. Those within those organizations want to get outside, and they want to get outside from the walls and be in this environment where things move fast, right? Are there any sort of challenges in this? Because it sounds great. It sounds amazing. It sounds like every corporate should have these kind of onboarding spaces where startups and corporates can meet. What are the challenges in it? Because surely this is not plain sailing. It doesn't always work. We talked about it in the last conversation. There is a bank in Asia somewhere, an unnamed bank in an unnamed city, who moved into a space like this, not level 3, but their strategy was they took the whole level and they put in the pass gates so that nobody could enter it. And then effectively there was no interaction between the startups and the corporates, right? So what are the challenges in this kind of space? I mean, how do you make sure it works? I mean, from the startup side, what have you learned that works best and maybe that doesn't work in this kind of environment?
I think the corporate, I mean, when you look at level 3 and Unilever Foundry, I think that the success also relies in what Foundry is doing. They're really pushing Unilever employees to come to level 3, to meet with startups. They keep on having all these events to mix startups and Unilever employees. So they're really opening the gate to startups, and they are telling their employees, you should talk to startups, if not work with them. You should talk to them. They have a lot of things to teach you, and whether it's in the work methodology or new ideas you could implement. So if you just put startups in a corner and you leave your employees in the other corner, nobody's gonna do anything, and it's not gonna work. Right.
So Foundry is key. Yes. I mean, that sort of an onboarding for innovation and startups and all that sort of entrepreneurship within Unilever, which Barbara runs. Okay, so.
Yeah. And when you become a level 3 not founder but member, you'll see that if of course Foundry sees some good things in your startup that could be valuable to Unilever teams, they're gonna push your business. So for us, tryandreview.com, they really helped us to scale a lot, pushing TryandReview to Unilever teams.
That's good to hear. From the startup's perspective, what have you learned from working with corporates, and how has that been for you? We all sort of assume it's one way, that the corporates learn to take risks and be agile. Is there something going the other way as well?
Yeah, as a startup, you also have to adapt, and you have to have some empathy, especially for the processes, for decision hierarchies, etc. So how
payment
decisions
terms.
are made. Exactly.
Right, well,
it's all a bit weird sometimes, and you have your visions and ideas, and you want to disrupt everything, but you realize, okay, it's a change management process also for big corporations. They need some time, and they need to take decisions and go into risks, and it's not so easy for corporates to do this. And so you need to have patience, and you need to learn how they communicate, and communicate the same way, but communicate your ideas in their way. And then it works.
Yeah. Patience is a challenge, though, isn't it, for a startup founder? We expect everything to be done now. When you surround yourself with startups as well, it does move fast.
It's a challenge for an entrepreneur because you have the drive, you want to change something. It's also a management challenge for cash flow, for organization. I mean, you have to manage this, and you can't wait so long for decision making. That's why organizations like Unilever Foundry are very important. I think you have to manage this from both sides and bring it together. Mentor the startups so that they understand the corporate world, mentor the internal teams of a corporate so that they understand the startup world. Yeah. And I think level 3 without Unilever Foundry is not so effective. So you need some mediator in between.
You can't simply plug a level 3 style space into a corporate and bring the startups. You need that interface, which is the foundry, right?
Really what I believe,
Yeah, because I imagine there's a lot of startups out there who probably want to connect with many different corporates, yet they don't have that interface. They don't have a foundry of their own to make that possible, because it's a cultural meeting, isn't it? So.
They also filter. They also will really screen, scout the right startups that will really answer some needs that Unilever teams have. So I don't think they send all startups to Unilever. So it's both ways.
Absolutely, yeah.
But what I especially like about, we talk a lot about Unilever, of course, because it's Unilever space here somehow. But what I like about Unilever Foundry is they also want you to be successful also outside Unilever.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So they help you also to connect with other brands, of course not competing brands of Unilever, but outside this company. And they have a mentorship program where other corporates are in, etc. So it feels good. It feels really that they want to support us, they believe in us, because then in the end it adds something to Unilever as well.
Yeah, I think the access is really important. Like, of course, like Barbara has a lot of, her network is wide. And just plugging into her network is amazing. It's amazing. And it speeds us the process. So we have been in touch with people from Google, from WPP, from Microsoft, which would normally take us 2 years.
A lifetime.
Yeah.
I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, right. And, well, it literally took us a couple of months. Yeah. And then things got going.
Yeah. So with that in mind, the skills are there, the people are there. Why doesn't every corporate have this kind of space? It makes sense, surely. Why doesn't it exist? Why don't all those banks who are now striving to get into fintech or blockchain, and we've seen some efforts here in Singapore as well, which have come and gone. So why doesn't that exist? It sounds all you need is a co-working space.
I'm actually,
you need a leader as well.
Yes.
Exactly. I think the filter.
I don't want
the filter is important, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's so many startups.
Right.
You need to find the right person to lead this kind of initiative.
Yeah.
And I guess that Level 3 and Unilever Foundry have found the right people to run this program. And it's also Unilever. They're very big in the region. They're bigger than other FMCG corporates. Of course, you need funds, you need investment, you need money. So it doesn't happen like this.
Yeah. I like the point about the leadership as well, how important that is. What type of people have to sort of step up to this? Because I think there's a lot of corporates out there who want to create these spaces. And maybe it takes somebody just to plant a flag and say, I'll do it. I'll run this. I'll move this forward. I'll put the business case forward internally. What kind of people are they within these organizations?
Former entrepreneurs. For Barbara, for instance.
Yeah.
So she knows the startup world. She knows the challenges that a startup has to face, and at the same time, she also knows the corporate challenges. So this kind of profile is probably a perfect one.
Yeah, how important that is. The mindset's there, isn't it? So, okay.
And in addition, may I add to this? I think you also need the support from your top management, right? So you need the trust and the
sponsorship, right?
Sponsorship,
because it can easily happen and then somebody pull it away. We've seen that within corporates is we'll do this and a year later it's not working out, we'll pull it.
Exactly.
You need that long-term vision as well. So you need that buy-in at all levels. So. Yeah.
And the patent team as well, because they are also very good in organizing lots of events all the time. You have things happening and they also bring a lot of crowd around here. They're very active. So I think both of them are really doing a good job.
Yeah, good. Thumbs up. 2019, we're on the back of Chinese New Year. So let's talk about what your plans are for this year. So tell us a little bit about what you're looking forward to in 2019 for your startups and also being part of this space. What is it that it could be the events that we've mentioned here or, people that you're looking forward to connecting with and maybe more random opportunities to connect with people around the table like this. But 2019 ahead, Gabriel, what about for yourself? Is there anything coming up here that you're looking forward to?
Just for TheLorry, I think we just launched around the region. So we just launched Thailand and Indonesia. So the regional play is gonna be pretty strong.
Yeah.
Because when in Singapore and in Singapore, the advantage is that every other company has its regional headquarters in Singapore. So that's gonna coming pretty big. Like guys like Lazada, guys like Shopee. So we want to work with them very closely. I think that's for 2019. We are also launching a business product, SME product. So that'll be great to sort of like test it out with the guys at Level3.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Singapore. So what works and what doesn't, what they're looking for, is this product even relevant?
Great. Excellent. There's a lot to look forward to. Philipp, how about yourself?
2019 will be a great year, I think. We're expanding. We're going to new markets like Gabriel.
How many people are you here now?
We are now 14 people here. And we have a team in Indonesia. We have people in Germany as well and in Russia. Now we're looking at Thailand and Vietnam and India. So these are all markets which are very, very interesting for us. We had some successful case studies last year, which we now want to scale up and bring into all those markets. So it's a very exciting year. We also have interesting innovations in the product pipeline. So, we're really looking forward to this.
Yeah. Have you taken part in any of those sort of innovative events here, like the hackathons and some of I know they've got, they're trying different things all the time at Level3.
Not all of them, but some of them. And I think it's a very good variety of different events. So very informative sessions or very hands-on sessions, or sometimes we have a yoga session here as well. So I think it's a very good mix. So for everyone at the company, especially. Yeah.
Great. Alexia, how about yourself?
Of course, regional expansion. I mean, not really expansion, but definitely boosting our presence and revenues from Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand. We're there already, but we can do much more. So Philippines, for instance, is a good example. 2019 seems to be a very promising year for this country. So that's one thing. And then we're launching a lot of new features, new offers this year as well. We're 100% digital, but we're now starting to go offline. We're doing some offline sampling and collecting user feedback on the street, on the spot. So it's quite fun. We're also investing quite a lot in tech this year, launching a SaaS platform for smaller companies. So many great things happening, and of course, we also hope to work very closely with Unilever.
Excellent. How exciting. Well, it looks like you've got a lot ahead of you in 2019. Thank you so much this morning for coming in and sharing a part of your journey with us as well.
Thank you very much.
The Level3 story as well. It's great to hear it from all sides of the table. We've heard from the corporates this morning, and now obviously from the startup perspective. Obviously you're a little bit later stage startup, but it's great to hear you're all out there sort of, you validated your products and now you're at the scale stage.
Yeah.
And I think as well, it's a great case study for those who may be looking to plug into or build relationships with some of the larger corporates, how to do it. Because for a startup, it's a real challenge, right? We talked about time and money. We don't have that in spades like they do in the corporates, right? So to come here and connect, I think, even around the very sort of like loose connections, those informal conversations, really, that's where it happens. So thank you all, Gabriel, Philipp, and Alexia. Thank you for sharing your journey with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.